La 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 la. So I have a problem. As you can see in this clip, I just stack up my pockets full of clothespins whenever I'm doing my laundry, and it really sucks. There's not enough space for the amount of clothespins I use because I have like 3 lines. So this doesn't work. So instead, I'm gonna try and make a apron for all my clothespins. Right here, I've got this fabric. I've had it for a while. I picked it up at a thrift shop. It's just a big curtain, and I've made like 4 different projects with it so far. So I'm just going to cut out the pieces, and essentially what I want to make is a short waist apron with 2 separate pockets for all of the clothespins. And then since the curtain already has this little frill, I'm going to keep that in and just go ahead and add that to the overall pattern. So if anyone is curious why I use a clothesline instead of a dryer like a normal person, it's because my dryer broke a few months ago, and I know it's the heating element that's broken, but I don't really have the capability to fix that, nor the time, nor the money. The biggest problem I've actually run into is that it's a stacking washer and dryer, and so I don't even have the strength to be able to pull the dryer out to look at the back of the dryer. So I just decided that a clothesline would be easier. And I do enjoy using a clothesline. My clothes always smell like either smoke or rain sometimes. They got rained on the other day, so they all smelled like rain whenever they finished drying. And then smoke because, it's Texas, so a lot of people barbecue and whatnot. And it just, I like it. I like the smell of smoke, or smokiness, not like a cigarette smoke. So now that all my pieces are cut out, I get to start working on the actual sewing. So here's the first pocket, and then here is the majority apron part. Later in the video, I do cut off the top part of that apron just to make the secondary pocket because I was an idiot and didn't cut it out in the first place. But this is how I'm going to sew it together with the additional pocket on top of there as well. Now, from start to finish, I think this project was probably 30 minutes, maybe less. Just for cutting out all the pieces, probably a couple minutes, and then doing all the sewing work was only about 23 minutes, I think. If I, go by the exact length of the video I took. So yeah, it's a very short project. I mean, obviously not a lot of people maybe need the specific clothespin apron that I made, but an apron in general is a very easy project. It's all straight lines, so this is very beginner friendly. And if you would like a more in-depth explanation of how I actually put everything together, no, you don't need to know that. It's my little secret. Yeah, you can just guess based on how the apron looks at the end, how it was all put together. I think that's what you should do. Just kidding. The main components are just 2 pocket pieces and then the backing piece, and then 2 straps. And the straps you would normally have to sew together, and then like turn inside out and all that crap. I didn't do that. I just cut off the hem that was already there on the curtain and used that as my straps. So that's a good idea if you happen to be using a curtain like me. If you're not, you're out of luck. The other steps are just to firstly hem the top of your backing piece, hem the top of both of your pockets, and then for the first pocket you can just sew it down without having to flip it in any way. So just set it where it's going to go and then sew the bottom. And then your second pocket, what I did was actually turn it upside down so it's good side to good side and the bottom is lined up where it needs to be sewn. Sew across and then flip it back up. That way the bottom is it's got a nice seam instead of having like the stitching on the outside, and having like a raw hem. And then ignore the side hem, or ignore the side seams. You don't need to do those yet. Those are very last thing you do, just so you don't have to do a ton of them. Like if you side hemmed every individual piece, it would take longer, way longer than just side hemming all of it at once, which is what I did. One other key component I added just for support of the apron was sort of subdividing the larger 2 pockets into 4 smaller pockets, just with 3 stitches across the middle after I attached each of the pockets. I said that so poorly. You know what I mean. I divided it into multiple pockets, and the reason for that is because if you have it just as one large pocket, it won't be as stable, and so when you put all your clothespins on it and it gets really heavy, they'll sort of fall forward, and that is not ideal. You want it to stay put where it is. And so turning it into individual pockets just helps that a little bit. You could do even more pockets. I figured 4 was good enough for me, so that's how many I did. But you're welcome to add more. Just did a little try on there, and it's looking like it's going to fit nice, so I'm going to go ahead and add my straps. You can see me finicking with that just now. I did do a rather large side hem. You don't need to do one that large. I only did that so that it would fit the way I wanted it to, because I didn't really measure or anything when I was initially cutting out the pieces. And so that's the reason I did a larger side hem. But if you pay more attention whenever you're cutting out the pieces, you won't have to do that. Also, my sewing machine is sewing through like 5 layers of fabric in that initial spot. If you don't think your sewing machine can do that, you probably shouldn't make it do that, because you might end up with a broken needle. Okay, so here is the finished product. I really love the little frill at the bottom. Here are the 2 pockets, number 1, number 2. I probably could have done the first pocket a little lower down than I did. I'm not sure why I didn't put it lower down, but you'll see later that it does make it a little difficult to put the clothespins in that top pocket. So if you're recreating this, you might want to put the first pocket a little lower down, especially given that there's so much space between the bottom pocket and the bottom hem. Like, there's no reason I didn't just put both of the pockets lower. So here's me filling it up. As you can see, there's not really an issue of the clothing pins stacking on each other. They fit right about okay. They don't really get in the way of each other. And here's it in use. Here it is. Overall, I'm very happy with how this project turned out. I do think it was one of my better projects and also one of my quicker projects, because just recently I made a purse for my boyfriend's sister, and it was a multiple day project, which might not sound a lot for a sewing project, but it is for me, given that I'm more of a hobby sewer and not a career sewer. But it works exactly how it should. I don't have to reach down to my pockets. I also don't have to reach into a bucket. I can just access my clothespins right where I need them, and the great thing is I can reload them up whenever I'm undoing the clothesline. So it works for unload and reload perfectly. That's all from me today, but let me know if you enjoyed this video and if you'd like to see more of a tutorial sort of thing, or if you'd like a pattern, or just let me know if you hated the video too and just want me to never upload again. That would be cool too. Thanks. Bye.